I hope you all had a good 2024 and hope you'll have an even better 2025. As we wrapped up 2024, we had our dumbest commenter of the year. A few weeks ago, we posted this short where a UPS driver shouts at us for some mysterious reason. I put a link in the description to that short video. You can hear the UPS driver shouting in the video if you're wearing headphones or watching the video on a computer with speakers. You also have to sort comments by newest first in order to see all of his ridiculous comments. So this guy who calls himself John comments, "I didn't hear anything," and then a second comment, "Rear cameras don't have mics." So one of them, referring to my wife and I, must have said what they thought they heard him say. First of all, both our front and rear dash cams do have microphones. And in the video, you can hear my wife repeating back to me what the UPS driver shouted after I asked her what exactly he said.
What did he say?
Calm down, it's not big a deal.
Because we both heard him shouting as it happened. Let's see how he embarrasses himself. I replied, "Wrong. Our rear cameras have mics. My wife clearly heard what the UPS driver said, and the camera picks it up too. So I'm not sure what nonsense you're on about." He replies, "No, they don't. Stop telling lies." He's referring to rear cameras and microphones. He continues, "And even if it did have a microphone, it wouldn't pick up anything outside," and a laughing emoji. And then I replied, "There's nothing to lie about. It's in the video. You're the one who seems to be hard of hearing." He then replied, "Blah, blah, blah. The UPS driver said nothing. I'm not arguing with you anymore." Which is funny because he goes on to argue with me more in the other thread, which we'll get to in a second. He continues, "They said the driver said something, so stop pushing nonsense. Also, the driver of the car was going way too fast." I'm not sure what he means by way too fast, as I never reached the speed limit because I had to make another immediate turn. I probably hit 15 miles per hour at the most. And I'm not sure how any rational person could so confidently deny something that's literally heard in the video. He's just as ignorant as a flat earther who can't be convinced that the earth is round. You could take a flat earther up into space, show them that the earth is indeed a sphere, and they would still deny it. This is the kind of next level delusional we're dealing with this guy. Then we go to his second comment thread where he said, "I didn't hear anything." He replied to himself in the most embarrassing fashion, as if he was someone else, but he quickly deleted it after I replied, "Replying to yourself? Wow, you are literally insane. Our rear cameras do have mics. If you didn't hear anything, get your hearing checked. The UPS driver clearly said what he said." He replies, "My comment was a mistake." He's referring to the comment where he replied to himself, that he then deleted. He continues, "But rear cameras don't have mics, so you need to get your hearing checked, because you're hearing things that aren't there." Which doesn't make any sense for him to say because many others heard the UPS driver too. He continues, "And front cameras only pick up what's said inside the vehicle. Try again." But if you've been watching dashcam videos for any length of time, you'd know that that's not true. Dashcams sometimes pick up what people outside the vehicle are shouting, and I'm about to prove him wrong. I posted a link to a video where a careless driver was shouting and raging at me from his vehicle, for which my dashcam picked it up loud and clear.
Where you're going. It doesn't, but you didn't look.
I then point out to him that I wasn't the only one who could hear the UPS driver in the video, and I reminded him again that both cameras we use for front and rear have microphones. He then conveniently ignored the link I posted that proves him wrong. He doubles down on his ignorance. He says, "They can't record outside the vehicle. I researched it last night." And in the video, they supposedly heard the UPS guy do something 20 plus feet away. Well, he wasn't actually that far away. Perhaps John needs his vision checked too. He continues, "Trust me, got can't," whatever that means. He continues, "The person posting probably did they thought they heard just to make a video." I don't know if this guy was really high or what, but he's repeating the same nonsense that's already been disproven while constructing his sentences in a somewhat incoherent fashion. I then pointed out that he completely ignored the link I gave him, for which he responds that he doesn't care about any link, which proves he can't handle being wrong. And so he doubles down some more, standing his ground on his incorrect claim that a camera cannot possibly record anything outside of a vehicle. So I point out that our dash cams have also picked up the sounds of horns and sirens, Before we see how he responds to that, one of our viewers points out to him that car windows can be opened. When you open a window, even more sound comes in. Our viewer also points out to him that cars are not totally soundproof, even when the windows are rolled up. If a sound comes in, the dashcam will probably pick it up. This is common sense, right? John then responds to my comment about horns and sirens being picked up by the dashcams. A horn is louder than a person talking. Well, he's never heard my mother-in-law, whose voice can be just as loud as a horn. The UPS driver wasn't just talking, he shouted. Then John says, and in the video, you can clearly see the driver waving her around him. So please stop with your uneducated comments. What? What does his waving us around have anything to do with this argument? And ironic of him to tell me to stop making uneducated comments, as he's proven himself to be the uneducated one. He then claims to have had many dash cams and claims that none of them could record anything outside the vehicle. That has to be a total lie because anyone who has a dash cam knows that they do in fact record sounds outside the vehicle, even more so when a window is open. He then claims that if sound is picked up from outside, it would have to be an outside mic. So you see, he's tripling and even quadrupling down on his nonsense. John then replies to Glenroy's comment about open windows letting more sound into the car for the camera or cameras to pick up. He says, "You get whine noise." He meant wind noise, and goes on to repeat the same ignorant stuff that proves he knows nothing about how dashcams record or how sound propagation works. He then tells Glenroy to stop embarrassing himself, when really it's John embarrassing himself, but he loves deflecting. Then I replied that John has contradicted himself. He's claiming that no sound coming from outside the car whatsoever can possibly be picked up by the dashcam, but he earlier implied that an outside horn could be picked up by the dashcam. So which is it, John? No sound? Some sound? Then John replies, "I said with the windows up." Except John never said that. I went back and reread all his comments carefully, and he never did say that. You see, John's moving the goalposts of his argument in a desperate attempt to look consistent and logical, but he failed miserably. He continues, which is what the car had in this video. In other words, he's claiming that the windows were rolled up in our car, but how can he possibly know that? He can't know that. He wasn't there. His intellectual deficiencies are on full display now. Glenroy then correctly points out that wind noise only becomes a thing above a certain speed. But even then, wind noise does not always drown out other sounds from outside. Then John replies, "It doesn't matter how fast they were going." Well, actually, it does matter when it comes to wind noise. But in terms of that video, John saying my speed didn't matter only proves my point. He continues, "You can hear wind noise at slow speeds." Not usually true and depends on many variables. And once again, John repeats that the UPS driver never yelled anything and goes on a deflection spree as he tells Glenroy to get a psych evaluation, claiming that he and everyone else is hearing voices in the video that aren't there. How ironic of him to tell others to get their heads examined. Another viewer of ours jumps into the fray and destroys every one of John's arguments all over again. But John never replied back to him. Instead, John replied back to me after I told him to just take the L and move on. But he just couldn't do that. He just had to get the last word. But he ended up not getting the last word because our other viewer gave it to him one more time. Nobody's posted any more replies since, but that might change once you guys have finished watching this video. People are unbelievable and stubborn on their incorrect beliefs and refuse to listen to any evidence that proves them wrong. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Alright guys, there's a lot more exciting content to come, so be sure to subscribe, hit that bell icon, drop a comment below, give us a thumbs up and share. Also, check out some of our other videos. Thank you for watching.